that I'm recording. Okay, hopefully that didn't mess anything up. So we're going to be voting this. If you need to send it to any of your teammates or, other games captains from your school, totally fine. So yeah, we can get that started. I want to say welcome to everybody. I'm super excited to have the chance to talk with you today, and we've been partnering with NCE this season to bring you more games. And so, for the first time, we're going to be piloting Overwatch and Rocket League, and that's something we've never done before in GG Leagues, and so we're excited to be able to try it out. And so, some of you might be wondering kind of who we are. GG Leagues is a social gaming league that specializes in live local tournaments, and we started in Illinois but have since grown to have independent leagues in 5 different states with teams coming from 9 different states. So we kind of offer statewide competitions for players of any and all skill levels, and so that's kind of who we are. We partnered with NCE this season to bring you, our tournament experience through them. So that's kind of that's a little bit about GG Leagues. And also want to make sure that everybody who's in here, it looks like pretty much everybody in here has their mics muted. And we'll come back for questions and things like that later, in case anybody joined. All right, let's go. Next slide. Okay, so this is super important. Want to make sure that everybody who's here has signed up on our website. And if you haven't yet, please let us know. You can either message me now or later, but you need to make sure that you're signed up on the GG League's website to be counted when we're making our schedules. I know that NCE sent out like an interest form, but that is not considered signing up for the league, so just make sure that you get signed up on the website, and if you haven't already, like I said, let me know and we can get you signed up before tomorrow. That's when we're making our schedules. Alright, so most of you at this point have probably done this because you're here in the chat being able to talk with me, but if you haven't already, make sure that you give yourself the right roles. We just recently fixed the Rocket League and Overwatch roles, so if you were trying to get those and have not been able to get them yet, they should be working now. For whatever reason, Reaction Roles decided to take a little vacation when I was trying to fix it, unfortunately. But yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody is in the right place. Make sure you give yourself the Ohio role, if nothing else, because that gives you access to your reschedule reporting, substitute reporting, and we'll also be releasing information about the finals and any league changes in there. So make sure you at least give yourself that statewide role. And then captains, just want to make sure that you get yourself the captain role. It helps us be able to contact you if we ever need to ask you about, your roster or, rescheduling, whatever the case may be. Discord's our primary way of doing that. So if all of your captains can, make sure you give yourself that captain role, I'd super appreciate it. And then last, like I said, a lot of you have already done this, but if you can give yourself that kind of bracketing example that I have on the screen, that just helps us find you easier. Basically just put like your team abbreviation or your school abbreviation in those brackets, and that just helps us, keep track of who's who. And then a lot of you have done this already, as I asked you to do when I was trying to get the stream set up. But if you haven't already, just navigate to that Captain's Meeting tab on Discord. The channel should be in social, like just above this chat, and just send me a quick message with what school you're representing, because we just want to know who's all here. So now that we have all of that out of the way, we can talk about some of the important rules. But I hope at this point everybody knows that your games start next week. If you don't, that's not great, and we should have done a better job advertising it, but your games do start next week. And if you guys haven't already, it would be great to follow our Discord. What am I saying? Twitch. Our Twitch. Not this Twitch. This is my personal Twitch, but the GG League's Twitch. It should be in our announcements channel. We will be streaming and casting games from there. And so if you want the opportunity to kind of see your guys' teams in the spotlight, we release stream polls every week at the start of the week. And you can vote for whatever matchup you want to see, and whoever has the most votes will be on the stream for that week. And so if you follow our stream, you'll be able to see the notifications for who's up in those time slots. All right. So the next stream poll should be going out tomorrow, and that will include the Ohio games. Okay, so we're going to break down the rules kind of by game. I know that there's 3 different groups of people here, so I'm going to try to keep it as separate as possible so that it doesn't get confusing. So first off, we're going to talk about League of Legends a little bit. So the format for League of Legends is that the season's roughly 10 weeks long. There's about 7 regular season games. They're best of ones, and we hope to grant a bye week for spring break. But it's not guaranteed. It just kind of depends on if we have a crunch time for the finals. So we will try to give you a off week for spring break. And then for the playoffs, they are best of 3s. That's something new this season. They're all best of 3s. They're going to be a combination of in-person and online. We'll have a little bit more detail about that as the season goes on, once we figure out where we're going to be hosting the finals and the dates for that. That information will be released throughout the season. But those LAN finals are always super fun. There's pizza, drinks, raffles, a trophy for our winners, and more. So we hope that, once we get those dates out to you guys can make your plans accordingly and come out and join us. So for League of Legends, all of our games are tournament draft. Sorry about that. All of our games are tournament draft, and we do have mandatory pro draft for teams that need it. So we do have resources on how to use pro draft if it's something that you're unfamiliar with. All of that can be found in our Discord. So this season, we've implemented a new point system to help us place teams better. And along with that, we have a roster max. So for League of Legends, you cannot have more than 10 players listed on your roster. That doesn't include if you have like a coach or a coordinator for your club. If they're on the roster, totally fine. This is just players. So no more than 10 players listed on your roster. And when we're determining placement for your leagues, we're taking the end of your season 9 ranking. Because the season just reset, we want it to be as accurate as possible, and so that's the way we did it. To calculate your point totals, basically, we take the 5 highest ranked players listed on your roster and add them together, add their point values together, and the sum of that determines your team. So, kind of like that example says, if you have a roster that has 10 people, where 5 are plat, 3 are gold, and 2 are bronze, we're going to take those plat players as the determining factor for your team. This is mostly to prevent teams from having ringers or from having, just any sort of ineligible sub. We're taking those top players to, be a buffer, essentially. There is a document in our Discord that goes in depth on how we created this point system. So if you're a little bit, if you want a little bit more information about that, feel free to look at that. And so, because this is a new system that we just implemented, we are giving buffers between those point caps for each division, just to make sure that we're slowly easing teams into this, and you don't have to get bumped from your division just because you're like a point or so over. But that is for this season only, so if you do end up enjoying GG Leagues and want to come back, we will be a little bit stricter on this next season. Just wanted to point that out. So this is what the point system looks like. Our Division A has no point cap because in theory you can be any rank and be in Division A, all the way from Challenger to Iron. So no point cap there. For Division B, our average rankings for players is Plat 1, and so our point cap flat is 4,000, but with that 15% buffer zone, it's 600 extra points. So you can be up to 4,600. And then, for Division C, average is Gold 1, point cap 1,600 with that 240 buffer. This is mostly for our end to help better place you guys. It's not necessarily something you have to be, doing the math for. And if you are curious, like I said, there is that document, and it includes a point calculator. So if you kind of want to play around with your rosters, that's available to you. So this is our regular season 4 format for League of Legends. Some of this information I've
Is the Twitch not playing sound for anyone else?
No, it's not for me.
Yeah, I can't hear it either.
I thought it was just internet dying.
Yeah, I think so. The mic got messed up or something.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Sorry about that. Literally, this happened the last captain's meeting, so I guess I'm just cursed. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure exactly where I got cut off, but I'll just start from the map pool. So I won't go over them in detail again because I read them out, but I'm not sure if you heard it. But that's the map pool. You can see them. They're right there. And so the match format will be in this order, where teams can pick, losing team gets to pick like the next map, if that makes sense. We do have rulebooks coming out for Rocket League and Overwatch. We're just in the process of updating them. They should be out tomorrow, and we'll post those in the Discord too. So matches will be played on competitive rule set with skins and kill cams off, and sprays, emotes, and golden guns are allowed. Okay, Rocket League. So they play the same time that Overwatch does, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Their matches are also best of 5 games. This is just kind of the breakdown of, the settings for that. Nothing too out of the ordinary there, I don't think. 5-minute match times. Teams, it's 3v3. Settings for default, etc., etc. And for Rocket League, home teams will create the lobby and invite the away teams, and we will be outlining how to label the match names and the passwords and things like that. So all of that information will be accessible on our website under your schedules. Those are not created yet. Those will be created tomorrow, and so we'll announce that in the Discord, and if you see any issue, certainly let us know, and we'll take care of that. This is, like I said, our first time doing Overwatch and Rocket League, so any and all feedback that you guys can give us is super appreciative. Alright, so this video was created with League of Legends in mind, but there is important information about how to navigate our website, so we're all going to take a watch of this, and hopefully the sound will play. That would be ideal.
You can find details about your team in the Dashboard tab. There, you can see your upcoming matches, standings, and match history. You can view the schedule for a league by clicking on the league and clicking on the Schedule tab. Clicking on a game and the schedule will show more details about the game and where you can find the tournament code for that game. Copy and paste the code into the LOL client to join your game. Not sure what side you should be on? Refer back to the schedule to find out. Teams on the left side should be on the blue side, and teams on the right side should be on the red side. Since GG Leagues uses tournament codes, there is no need to send us post-game screenshots or report anything. Soon after a game is played using the tournament code, the results, standings, and stats are all automatically reported and updated on our website. If you need to reschedule your game, be sure to post in our rescheduling reporting channel in the appropriate state. If your team will be making a substitution, be sure to post in our substitute reporting channel in the appropriate state. If a team requests to use ProDraft, it must be used. If a team is not fully present in a game lobby within 15 minutes of the scheduled game time, that team must forfeit. Be sure to post the forfeit in our forfeit reporting channel in the appropriate state. Remember, anything that could be considered BM is BM. If you are not feeling comfortable with the behavior of the opposing team, tell them to stop. If you continue to have any issues in or out of game, please utilize our help channel in our Discord, where our friendly league managers will be happy to assist you. Please try to take screenshots of any potential issues so that we can help you in the best way possible. We hope that this has helped your game day experience. Good luck and have fun.
Okay. I got reports that it's possible you guys didn't hear that, but the video is in our video resources channel in Discord, and so if it wasn't playing audio for any reason, you can always check it out there. Alright. So, like I said, a lot of that is, related to League of Legends, but it does kind of show you a walkthrough of how to navigate our website, where to find, information about your matches. So maybe it's not a tournament code if you play Overwatch or Rocket League, but it would be the information for like lobby name and password and things like that. So that's kind of the thing to take out of it if you don't play League. But we're going to break that video down and talk about how that differs for each game. The biggest thing to take away from the entire experience is that GG Leagues does not tolerate toxicity. We have strict rules about cyberbullying, griefing, smurfing, etc. And if you ever have issues with any of these things, please let us know and we will, act accordingly. We do have a lot of, a system in place for handling these types of issues. Emotes and other in-game taunts are allowed as long as it doesn't interfere with the enjoyment of the game for the enemy or for your opponent. So if anyone ever asks you, like, hey, please stop spamming emotes or please stop, taunting, whatever it is, then we ask you to follow their request. And if you continue to do these actions, then there will be consequences as per the rulebook. But yeah, as I said, if you ever need any help with those issues, always hit us up in the help channel and we will help you out there. Okay, so website and game day experience. Let's see. So schedules can be found on our website. Again, we're putting those up tomorrow, so if you look now, there won't be anything there, but they will be accessible tomorrow. And we also send out scouting emails 48 hours before each match. So as long as you have designated players on your roster as starter or reserve, you should be able to get a scouting email with accurate information on who you're playing that week. Particularly for League of Legends, your tournament codes will be sent out in that, but it also outlines game time. For League of Legends, again, what side you're on, but it should include too your match, like password and name and things like that. So a process that will be implemented this season for Overwatch and Rocket League is reporting match results. For League of Legends, you don't have to worry about reporting match results because we use tournament codes. All of that information is pulled from the Riot API and uploaded to our website automatically. So you do not have to worry about reporting anything to us in terms of League of Legends. But for Overwatch and Rocket League, same process. Just make sure you take a screenshot of the results of each game within the match and report those in the respective channel, either Overwatch score reporting or Rocket League score reporting. And please, for just ease of tracking everything, include the name of the team, the two names of the teams that are in that match, and who won. And so we'll record that. The way that the website will just track who won or lost the match, but we're going to keep information about who won each game and like each map, so those statistics will also be recorded on a separate spreadsheet. And so if there's ever a request for that type of information, we should have it. Okay. So for reschedule, substitutes, and mid-season promotions, again, these are different a little bit per game. So our general policy for rescheduling games is that if you have requested a reschedule 24 hours before your originally scheduled time, you can do it to a different day. Teams who are agreeing to reschedule need to report in the reschedule reporting channel for your state, and both teams have to agree to the reschedule, and we consider like a thumbs up or a smiley face reaction from both teams as like an agreement to it. Something new that we're implementing this season, if you're rescheduling a game to a different day, it must be played before Sunday 11:59 at the end of that week. So, for example, if you're trying to reschedule your week 3 game, it has to be played Sunday 11:59 of week 3 before we move into week 4. That's mostly so when it comes time for playoffs, we don't have people like rescheduling games into the playoffs schedule, and like seeding gets messed up and stuff, so we're just trying to kind of, plan for that. Now, if it's under 24 hours before your scheduled match time, you can still reschedule, but only to a different time within that day. So, for example, if your game is supposed to be played at 7 p.m. and it's, 3 p.m. and you realize, oh shoot, I need to take a final, you can reschedule still, but it only within a different time that day, so it could be like 9 p.m. or something like that. That's kind of how we handle those types of situations. They still do need to be reported in the reschedule reporting channel, and both teams still need to agree to it. Okay, substituting players. So, as I was saying, we do send out those scouting emails, and so teams need to have their starters locked in 72 hours before their games start. And you can do this by going to your team page and designating who is starter and who is reserve. And like I said, the most important reason that we do this is so that your team knows, your opponents know who they're going against, and so those scouting emails are as accurate as possible. So it's very important to keep those up to date. And if you don't end up changing your roster, from one week to the next, we'll just consider that to be your starting roster for the next week. If there are any disputes between like an ineligible sub or, they haven't reported their subs appropriately, whatever the case may be, you have to let us know before you start the game. If you start the game, we consider it as your basically, okaying this substitute, and the results will just be the results. Versus if you report it early, we can go into the lobby and make sure that there's no issue, that the player is eligible. In some cases, we give extra time for scouting, etc. So just know that we won't be retroactively enforcing rules when it comes to issues like subs. Okay. So, for League of Legends, you can have last-minute subs, but there are some rules. So you can only be 2 tiers higher than the player you're subbing for. So in the case of you're a gold player, your sub can be no higher than gold 2. And you also cannot push your team over the point limit for your division. So that kind of jumps back to that point system that we were implementing earlier. And subbing during playoffs is more restrictive. It is still the same rules, about 2 tiers higher, and you can't push the team over the point limit, but also you have to have played in the regular season at least once, or have been on the roster since the beginning. Those are kind of our rules for the playoffs for League of Legends. For Overwatch, teams are allowed to have 6 of your starting players, your core roster, and then up to 6 more substitutes considered reserve players. And you're allowed to substitute freely throughout the season as much as you want, including during matches, but they must have been listed on your roster. So they have to have come from your roster, but you're allowed to switch in and out as you want. For Rocket League, you're allowed to have 3, core starting players, and then you can have up to 5 additional subs. And then for the sake of substitutes for Rocket League, it's considered changing your lineup once a match has started, and subs can only occur in the case of a disconnect. It can only be between games. You're limited to 1 sub per match, and it still has to come from your roster, so you can't just pull in some rando to fill your spot for you in the case of a disconnect. Alright, so in every game, we allow a 15-minute grace period after game time starts to make sure, that everybody gets into lobby. And then after that 15 minutes, it's handled a little bit differently per game. So because League of Legends in the regular season is only best of ones, if you are more than 15 minutes late to your match, you forfeit for that week, and the team that was there fully present gets the win for that week. Now, headset turned off again. I noticed it that time. Okay. Sweet. Anyway, so the game can still be played out if you so choose, but we will take the result of the forfeit as the result for that match. So whoever was there fully, even if they lose, they still get the win for that week. For Overwatch and Rocket League, if a team doesn't have their full team present in the lobby within that 15 minutes, they forfeit the first map. They have then 10 minutes to refield their team, make sure that they get their entire roster there, and if they still are not, don't have a full roster, they will forfeit the entire match. So that's how that's handled for those games. Alright, this is mostly only relevant for League of Legends because we do not actually have different divisions for Rocket League and Overwatch this season, but players are allowed to rank up during the season. So if you go beyond the maximum rank allowed for the division, that's fine. You'll be allowed to finish your season with GG Leagues. But in the future seasons, if you join us for summer or fall or whatever, we would end up reevaluating you and then putting you into a higher division. All right. So if there are, additional questions, we do only have our League of Legends rulebook out right now. As I said, we are still kind of working on some of the nuances for Rocket League and for Overwatch, so I might not exactly have an answer for you if you have questions related to those games. Those will be released tomorrow. We're just about done with them, but there's still a couple of things we're trying to sort out, being that we're adapting NCE's rulebook. So if you've played with NCE before, the rules should be pretty similar to what you've seen before, but there are a couple of little things, like we're updating the maps and things like that, and so, there's just a couple of little nuances that we haven't quite finished yet. But aside from that, do we have any questions? So I know that people have kind of been leaving messages throughout the Discord, but let's try to do, if you have a question, just try like unmuting your mic, and we'll try to do it kind of one at a time. Hopefully this doesn't become a free-for-all. Otherwise, you can like type it in Twitch chat, and I can try to answer it there too. I'll give the stream a second to catch up. Hopefully this worked okay. This is our first time trying to do it this way, and I am not a Twitch aficionado, so hopefully it worked. For League of Legends, can we play our match on Howling Abyss? No. We do have restrictions that you have to play on Summoner's Rift, and that's included in our rulebook. Trying to make sure. For our Rocket League, can we just have a list of accepted maps rather than starting Champions Field? We could do that if that's what you guys would want. The NCE rulebook listed Champions Field as their starting, their default field, and so we were just rolling with that. But if you would like a more concrete list of maps that are allowed, we can try to get that for you. What if both teams agree? Unfortunately, Howling Abyss is not a map that we support for League of Legends. Only Summoner's Rift. Sorry. Maybe soon. Hey, in the off season we were doing ARAMs for, staff and community games, so jungle is not fun. Yeah, I feel you. I'm a support main, so. So subs can be put in whenever a match. We just need to lock our designated starters. Is that for Overwatch? I just want to make sure that I'm going to give you the correct answer. Yes, for Overwatch. Yeah, so we want to be able to know basically who is going to be starting primarily, and right now we don't have a clear designation of how to report substitutes. It's possible that we will implement a rule that says that you need to report who you're switching in between the match in the substitute reporting, just so people are aware, like, oh, that person who is playing Reinhardt will not be in this match. But at the current state, we don't have anything about that. So yeah, we just want you to designate your starting 6, who will be kind of your core roster, and then make sure that you have whoever you might be subbing in designated as reserve. And like I said, this is our first season doing Overwatch and Rocket League, and so if there's recommendations on things that we can improve even throughout the season, definitely let us know. We're always open to improvements and player feedback, and so if something doesn't feel right, definitely let us know. How were our points calculated for newer players who were not ranked last season? So if you've been ranked in the past at all, we'll take that into consideration. For some of our lower divisions, we had players who played in like Season 8 but didn't play in Season 9. So we took into consideration what their Season 8 ranking was. And if not, if they're actually like a new player, have never played ranked before, the way that we typically go about it is checking their enemy ranking, like the MMR of their enemies, and we kind of go from there. That's just kind of our best guess. It's obviously not perfect, but it's kind of the only way that we can evaluate those newer players. And if it's an account that we think is suspicious, like always having really good scores, really high win percentage, we will like talk to them, talk to their teammates, and deem whether whether or not they're eligible to play. Hasn't been an issue in the past, thankfully, but, you know, always have to have something in place in case. Okay. Trying to make sure that I'm keeping track of everywhere people might be posting questions. I also appreciate you guys are kind of answering your questions for each other. I do appreciate that. It makes it a little bit smoother for me.
Is there a planned date for the LAN?
Not currently. So being that we're taking on the, you know, partnership with NCE, they might be organizing some of those LAN, you know, details, and so we are in communication with them. But at this point, we don't have a date on that yet. Very like wide frame. It should be like middle of April. That's kind of the best that I can give you for this time. Let's see. One of our players gets out of class at 7:15. Can we have our game time set to 7:30 so you don't have to reschedule each week? Yeah, why are the matches at 7? They're announced for 9 p.m. I thought. I as far as I know, for Rocket League, we have always said that they're at 7 p.m. Eastern. If this becomes apparent that this is an issue for our players, then we can evaluate whether to push that back. At the current point, you would just have to reschedule all of your matches. Unfortunately, you can be in communication with the captains and just tell them this is kind of the situation. We're, you know, our player is consistently going to be unavailable until 7:15 or 7:30, whenever they get back, and you can kind of organize those ahead of time. Once we release the schedules, you'll be able to see everyone that you're versing throughout the season and kind of make plans accordingly. But as I said, if this becomes an issue for more of our players than we had anticipated, it's definitely something we can talk about internally, pushing back. Like I said multiple times, this is a pilot season, and so we're just trying to figure out the best, you know, time frames for the games. We're kind of unfamiliar with how long, you know, the series can take, and so we're planning for longer rather than shorter. But if that ends up being an issue, it's something we can definitely talk about. Oh, dropped my pencil. Okay. I think I've covered everything so far. Any other questions? Okay. I don't see anyone typing, and I don't see any messages in Twitch. So at this point, you know, we can kind of wrap up the captain's meeting. And of course, if you have any more questions, feel free to message us. Preferably in the help channel, because if you have the question, someone else might also, and so having it public makes it easier for people to kind of access those things. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out. This video will be, like I said, VODed and uploaded, and so I'll make sure I get that link to everyone. And just want to say, you know, good luck and have fun this season. And you know, your games start next week, and schedules will be up tomorrow. So thanks for coming, everybody. I appreciate it, and have a nice rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, let's stop